Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, I wanted to have another look at the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, and obviously today, and over the last 24 hours, we have seen quite possibly the start of what can only be defined as a humanitarian ceasefire within the area of operations for the Tigray region. That would include quite possibly Tigrayan Defense Force operations in the Afar region. We could possibly see TDF units pull back from areas such as Berhale, Abala, and obviously possibly as well as within the area near DRK, as you can see there on my map cursor circling. Now, with that being said, in terms of the actual war goals and war aim, who has right now walked away victorious from this really dreadful conflict that started out under the guise of a so-called law enforcement operation? Now, we all know, and those individuals who have been watching this war for some time understand that's not what originally occurred. It was not a law enforcement operation. It was a premeditated invasion by both foreign state actors, meaning the Eritrean army, led by the despotic regime of Isaias Afwerki, and the warlord in chief, Abiy Ahmed. And again, I call him that because we were in a relatively peaceful situation prior to 2018. And now, obviously, that situation has changed quite a bit. Now, obviously, when you look at this and you try to articulate winners and losers, one can only come to the conclusion that Abiy Ahmed is walking away from this a quite literally a stunning loser. And I'll try to explain further. So, again, prior to the invasion of the Tigray region, Abiy Ahmed and Isaias Afwerki had very clear and very specific war goals and war aims. And first, it was the complete occupation of the Tigray region. And we were to see the Eritrean army occupy the northern areas of the Tigray region, specifically Adigrat, Adwa, Axum, Shire, Shiraro. And we were to see the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, Federal Police Forces, and Amhara regional forces occupy areas such as Alamata, Mechu, Mekele, Ukro, and in the areas south of the areas that the Eritrean army would occupy. Now, obviously, initially, in the initial first 6 months of this operation, due to large part, and I have to credit the Tigrayan Defense Forces in terms of its efforts to not have a large component of the citizens based in cities or living in cities be subjected to large-scale urban warfare. While that could have possibly prevented the eventual occupation of the Tigray region, if that sort of strategy was utilized, the TDF chose not to use that strategy and withdrew into the mountainous hills of the Tenbian region to regroup and mobilize its forces for the eventual eviction of the Abiy loyalist forces and the forces of the Eritrean army. And luckily for it was, meaning the TDF, it was able to do that without having to have its cities besieged and quite possibly reduced with the heavier weapons that the ENDF possessed, or the Abiy loyalist forces possessed at the time. But eventually, again, if you take within the context of the Abiy loyalists and the Isaias Afwerki war goals, again, the complete occupation of the Tigray region and the capture of the senior leadership within the Tigray region. Fast forward where we're at right now, none of that was achieved. And on the contrary, where the ENDF sits right now is in a much, much harsher spot than where it was prior to the operation commencing. For all intents and purposes, again, the ENDF, the Abiy loyalist forces, are having significant challenges right now. And again, that's is cause and effect because of the operation that it undertook into the Tigray region. So again, if you take into account the war goals and war aims of the ENDF, the Abiy loyalist forces, none of those were achieved. The ENDF walks away with a horrendous amount of casualties and being militarily defeated in the Tigray region, and then compounding that, no one foresaw that the Tigrayan Defense Forces would then launch a counter invasion deep into the Amhara region, seizing huge amounts of cities and towns, and causing a horrific amount of of economic loss for the Abiy loyalist forces. So if you look at this on a whole, this was a cataclysmic event for the ENDF and Ethiopia as a whole. Again, none of the war goals nor war aims were achieved. You now have a much stronger Tigrayan defense forces that have been fully mobilized, and you have massive economic loss and strife now inside of the former state of Ethiopia. And now the Abiy loyalist forces are now struggling against the renewed vigor of the Oromo Liberation Army, which because of the Abiy loyalist forces initiating this invasion of the Tigray region, and then the defeats that there ensued, the Ethiopian army or the Abiy loyalist forces are really in no condition at this point to be fighting the Oromo Liberation Army, which continues to grow day by day and get stronger, continues to take territory. And in all likelihood, the current ceasefire request by Abiy Ahmed is because it cannot absolutely afford another high series of high tempo operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces against the Abiy loyalists. Again, the Abiy loyalists have their hands full with the OLA right now. And compounding that, you're kind of seeing civil wars within civil wars. You're now seeing Fano, and you're seeing certain political elements within the Amhara region now fighting each other. So you have Amhara versus Amhara, different factions now fighting. It's just an utter calamity. And it was all because of the decision-making process of one man, and that is Abiy Ahmed. None of this existed prior to the poor decision of Abiy Ahmed authorizing the military invasion of the Tigray region. He has quite literally led to the economic and political collapse of the state of Ethiopia. And that accountability, that onus is all on his shoulders, and quite possibly the shoulders of Isaias Afwerki itself. I think that will be another issue that could be resolved in the not too distant future. I think right now it is very, very important to have both humanitarian and economic aid flow into the Tigray region to help it rebuild, to get the population fed, and stop the starvation of this fairly unsuccessful anaconda strategy that really only harmed the population of the Tigray region, but did little to actually change the military dynamics on the ground. And again, that's kind of where we sit right now. In all probability, the civil war continues, especially with the Oromo Liberation Army continuing to make advances, and the ENDF, because of its invasion of the Tigray region, is really in no state to directly challenge the OLA at this point. And what I mean by that is to retake territory that the OLA has currently taken. It is going to be a significant struggle for the Abiy loyalist formations if they decide to continue on fighting the OLA, which is probably going to continue at this point. But that's what we have for today. We'll continue to monitor and cover the situation as events warrants over the next few days. Have a good day, everybody.